everyone. Today we got to play Picture Perfect. So this is another one of our Gen Con hauls. And this one was one of those kind of surprising finds that we found. And so we were dying to play this one, so hence why we're playing it now. So this one is very much like a deduction game.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminds me of Clue in the fact that you have cards you're passing around and trying to figure out, instead of who did it, where to place people. But
these people do not like each other very much.
Well, I mean,
Some
it
of
happens.
It's like a family reunion.
It kind of is. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because you like board games, and that's what we do here. So, Randy, tell us more about this particular game.
Well, this one's a little confusing. This one shows it was released in 2020, but it was at Gen Con as a new release. So I'm not sure.
Maybe that's just when they put the data in, because it maybe was supposed to be released in 2020.
Maybe they did a Kickstarter for it. I don't know, but for some reason it's showing a 2020 release, but it was first released at Gen Con. It was one of their big ads because there were big banners and for it and big signs.
Well, all I know is the first day there was a huge pile.
And
a big, huge, and then at the last day there was like the last layer.
Oh, it was gone by the end.
Oh, it was gone by the end. Okay, I just know when I watched.
And there was a big
morning.
sign of the little girl going. Yeah.
So
yeah, this was their Arcane Wonders big one that they had displayed there. I mean, they also sold Furnace, yeah, I know it got damaged. I know, I was pretty frustrated with that. I don't know if it got damaged before I bought it or in the carrying of games.
It's probably in the carrying of things. Because I don't feel like you would have gotten.
Yeah, in the flurry, who knows? But this game is a 2 to 4 player game, although the rulebook says 5 to 6 players because they intend on releasing a expansion for 5 to 6 players for this. So throughout the rulebook, there's references to the rules as if it were 5 or 6 players, which is kind of interesting.
I wonder how they're going to do that. Like, I can see them adding 2 different boards, adding more cards.
Yeah.
But then I almost feel like they would have to add characters as well, and then maybe not all the characters can be in the picture. I feel like that would be pretty interesting.
I don't know. We'll have to find out whenever the 5 to 6 player expansion comes out.
So, for the record, I think that would be very interesting.
It's a 50 to 90 minute game. I don't know that this could take 90 minutes, but it says 50 to 90 minutes.
Well, if you had 6 players, maybe.
Maybe. Age 10 and up. Designed by Anthony DeVoe. Artists were, and I apologize in advance because these names are not going to be easy for me to pronounce. Ronnie Labor, Giola Pazge, Soren Medding, and Maja Wrzosek. W-R-Z-O-S-E-K. Wrzosek.
Well, I'm impressed because there's no way I could have done it. Like,
I apologize. I don't know how W-R-Z-O-S-E-K is pronounced.
Well, all I know is I can barely say specific.
Yeah.
Did I say it right that time?
I think you did.
I'm so excited.
All right, so
that was it, right?
You have trouble saying subscribe when we talk about the subscribe button.
Well, I mean, I never said I could pronounce things very well.
Yes.
That was not one of my
It was
strengths.
published by Corax Games and Arcane Wonders, and the MSRP is $44.99. So, although right now it has not been released or it's in stores, it's not available in stores from what I've seen. Yet. It is available through the geek market. Some people are selling it. So.
Oh, they bought it there and some selling it.
I don't know if they bought it there or not, but there's some people selling it for. And it's actually $29, $30 that they're selling it for, so they're not scalping it.
Crazy. All right, so let's talk about it. Quality of pieces. I like the standees.
Well, these are not standard. These were upgrades that I purchased at the booth. So the standard ones are cardboard and not see-through.
You really need to get the upgraded. I don't feel like...
Yeah, I like the upgraded.
So the upgraded, I really like. I thought that was actually really nice. It gives a more realistic feel to it, so I appreciate that. And then the cardboard table seems to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Except for the problem is you can't put it back in the box once you've assembled it. So you would have to...
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously? That's kind of lame.
Yeah, so you have to disassemble the cardboard, which is going to wear it out. I mean, it was already peeling when I was folding it just this time. So I don't. The other option is not to put it in the box and just store them elsewhere.
Well, that sounds to be a thing.
Because also these plastic things will not fit in the box.
Oh, so you might as well just...
Yeah, you probably have to pretty much externally store them.
Which is kind of lame.
Yeah.
It's kind of lame. But other than that, quality of cards, not textured. They're pretty thick. You don't really have to shuffle them too much.
Well, you can't sleeve them. You do have to shuffle them at the beginning.
Well, at the beginning, but not continuously.
But they won't fit in the envelopes if you sleeve them, so there's no sleeving for this.
Well, they are pretty thick. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
They are pretty thick, but there is no texture to them. The screens, the screens I had an issue with because none of them laid flat.
Yeah, they didn't. One of the sides was kind of trying to spin on you.
So, like, you set them and it's like this one was always flapping, even though this side is fine. Like it wasn't quite even, so that one's kind of weird. Ooh, I'm knocking things over. So I didn't particularly care for that one. So overall, quality of pieces, 6.5, 7. There's some things that I like, and then there's some things I don't like.
Probably out of the box, I'd give it a 6. With the upgraded see-through components, I'd go ahead and give it a 7, probably.
See, okay, then I like where your brain's at, because really, what's giving it a 7 is these pieces.
Yeah.
So I agree with that assessment. So let's talk about theme. So the theme is your family is having a function, and you are trying to get everyone happy and take a family photo. Okay. But the thing is everyone's opinionated on where they want to be during that photo, and so you have got to figure that out through gameplay. It is kind of a deduction game. You know what? Here's the thing, though, because I like playing Clue, but Clue gets kind of old in the fact of who did it. It's like
it's a roll and move, and roll and moves are never
right. But you like the deductive piece to it. But this I like because it's a little more.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. Younger kids can play it. It's up to
we're talking about theme here, but the theme of it is just super fun. I mean, it's and it hits home. I mean, I know my family. You got dysfunction all over the place, and it's like, oh, this is great. It's like this person, Uncle Bill does not like this little Sally. Doesn't want to be next to little Sally. Even the potted plant has opinions. I love that.
Even the potted plant has opinion. Or the dog. The dog is quite opinionated too.
But dogs can be opinionated.
That's true.
Whereas potted plants, you don't typically get opinions from them. But I love that it had them. Because if I had a potted plant, it would be opinionated.
I could totally see that.
Yes.
That would be your kind of plant.
When I come back as a potted plant one day, I'm going to be opinionated all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, though, this has great table presence. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's a fun deduction game. I do think that the mechanics are driven by the theme, right? Which is people are very opinionated. So I'm probably going to give this an 8 for theme. What are your thoughts?
I'm going 9. I love everything about this theme. I mean, that's what sold me on it. I was walking by the booth. I had no idea this was even there. It was. Well, I think it was in my list of ones I looked at and just dismissed. I was like,
you regret that now, don't you?
Well, when I saw it there, I was like, what is that? And I look at it and I'm like, that's an amazing concept. The arrangement of the people and and you actually take a photo at the end. That's the best part. You take a photo of it. So, I love everything about this theme, and it's just fun, and it hits home because of the dysfunction in the family, and it's just, everything about it is great. We get to the gameplay, I've got a few issues as far as execution.
So you're 9 for theme. So tell us about the rules.
Well, there's actually 2 rule books.
Whoa.
So the first one
you're
is 8 pages long.
Okay.
And it's all you really need to read to play the game quickly. The second book is 12 pages long, and this is kind of your detail level, telling you basically what all the different cards do if you have any confusion on the cards.
So I would be reading the first one, you would read the second one.
But it also there's basically 2 modes of play, the standard mode and then the auction mode. And the auction mode is the advanced one, but they don't recommend you play it the first game. We didn't play that because it was the first time playing. But it doesn't add that much complexity. So basically, you have decorations on the table that become relevant in the second in this if you play the advanced
All I know
mode.
is my table is very boozy.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I put them on there.
Yeah, well, I put everything on mine. They're having a
Well,
party.
the thing is, it got a little too crowded. I don't know. I don't like things too crowded.
So, the decorations just have relevance in the auction mode because you use them to pay for envelopes.
Okay. So, what would you give the score for rules?
The rules were fine. I mean, they're pretty. They got a nice cover. They have good imagery. They're very simple to read because they're big print and big. There's not a lot to the game. As far as the basic rule book, I'd probably give this a 8. It's really good. The auxiliary rule book has no cover. It's kind of the opposite of the other one. It's the same font, so it's easy to read as far as size, but there's very few photos throughout it.
Well, but if they explain it all in the first one.
Yeah, this is more of the detail level. If you have any confusion, that walks you through. But really, it's hard if you have confusion with this game.
Well,
so
I mean,
simple.
they're just doing it just in case.
Yeah. So
because there's people like you out there.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. We'll stick with an 8 overall for the rules.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about gameplay. So gameplay is very straightforward. Depending on character number or player number, it will determine how many decks you start out with. And by a deck, I mean that
how many you have in your personal possession. There's
correct.
All the decks are used.
Right. And so basically 3 cards are put into an envelope for each player. And at the start of the game, for example, for 3 players, you have 4 decks with you, one pertaining to 4 different people. You, one by one, go through those. So
that's because we had 3 players. It'll change depending on player.
Right, so it all matters. But anyway, so you get to look one at a time, but as soon as the cards go back in, you can't revisit them, right? So even though they're in your possession, you can't go and
that round.
Round.
Yeah, each round, whatever ones are in your possession, you can look at.
Okay. So you look at all of those, you start placing your things. Nothing is ever locked until the very, very end, in which you decide that it is done and you take your final photo, and that's how you lock it. So you go through those 4 decks, use those clues. For an example, so Mrs. Orange Dress over here, I really wish they would have put names. That would have been a really great for theme. Because that'd be useful. But this one's like, I want to stand at the table, and it highlights the location. And then she wants to make sure no one sees the dog's face. She doesn't particularly like the dog, and she doesn't want to see on the picture Yellow Lady's face. Like she
really doesn't like the lady as much as she doesn't like the dog.
I mean, yeah, she's not a big fan of these people. But she wants to be at the table because she wants to be that cool. So, but yeah, so that's an example. So then you determine, okay, well, all right, so I'm going to hide the dog and I'm going to maybe put her up front. Here's actually mine. I put her up front, but then I had hid the dog's face, but then I didn't want to hide the yellow face because I got a clue later on that says that she wants to be up front, and she had like 3 things to where she had to be up front. So Orange Lady didn't get what she want. But yeah, so you do all those 4, and then you end up drawing from a separate deck, and it tells you how to, you can either exchange decks with different players, or you can see the ones in the middle, or you can trade for the ones in the middle. So there's a different way. That way you get to view more of the decks to determine how you're going to set it up. I know in the game there was 2 decks that I didn't see at all during the game, so they were very, actually I think it was 3, very, very random, and I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't get any negative victory points. I at least hit one of those just by accident on each one of those.
Because if you don't get any of the cards right for a character, then you take a negative 3 points, which that's really crummy. You're better off because one of the options is you can not place the character into the photo and you get 0 points, but you don't lose points.
Yeah, but there are some times where it's like, okay, well, 3 people need this person, so I guess they're going into the photo regardless that they like it or not. So, and I was kind of hoping. I got really lucky because you hit a couple of negatives, didn't you?
No, actually.
I thought you got. I
thought I had gotten.
No, I thought you got 2 negatives.
No, I guess I did get a negative 3 once.
Yeah.
Still won.
With an asterisk.
You can say that all you want. It doesn't.
It's with an asterisk, guys. It's with an asterisk. Right. So eventually, you end up going through the deck and figuring out how to exchange all the cards. That occurs, and then you finalize your picture. You take the snapshot, and then you reveal deck after deck, and you gain points upon the reveal. And everyone does. Oh, one little other mechanic. There is a VIP card that everyone has. So at some point during the game, you can choose to put this VIP in a deck. And that means that that particular player will get scored twice at the end of the game. So if you know, hey, this is going to give me, I've gotten all the things for this one. I'm going to slide this in here and I will get a bunch of points for it. So that's kind of nice.
And you can stick more than one of those VIPs in the same envelope because each person only gets one. But if everybody gets to see that envelope and they know they've got it, they could put more than one in there and score it.
Yeah, but if
2 or 3 times.
Yeah, but I don't see why you would want to do that because.
Well, you know somebody else is getting the points from it too.
Yeah.
It's possible you can do it. I'm just saying it's not.
It's possible. I just don't see why you really.
I preferred my method, which was to hide the deck that I had my VIP in for the entire game and make sure nobody saw it.
I couldn't. You stole mine. Effort. Anyway. No, overall though, this is a lot of fun. You're going to be discussing this a little afterwards, I think, because it'll be like, can't believe so-and-so had to do, like there was a couple of times because of the way the cards were that, like, I want to be in the front, I want to be in the back, and I want to be next to Sally Mae, but Sally Mae is on the opposite side of where I want to be. So it was just kind of like, wait, what? So some of the clues you cannot meet all of them. Oh, like the one person was like, I want to be next to Mustard, but then I don't want to be next to Guys. Well, Mr. Mustard's a guy. So there's the catch-22 there. But yeah, there is that. You said you had some beef with this game.
Well, the main one was with the 6 cards that you start with as far as the trading, because 2 of them reference the extra cards that were in the middle, which, whenever you have a different number of players, there's going to be at least 2 decks in the middle, potentially 4. And the cards we got in the order we got them was, one of them said reveal all the cards in the middle.
No, reveal 2 decks.
Well, 2 decks in the middle, which there were 2 decks. So we revealed all the cards in the middle. Then the other one said to swap cards with the cards in the middle and then put ones back in the middle. And it was like, well, we've all seen the ones in the middle. There's no gain by putting our own decks in the middle. Yeah, but if you're saying that there could be 4, like, that would be fine because you're putting... Yeah,
so if the 4, or if that card had been done before
right.
the reveal.
But the scenario that played out with 3 players being 2 decks, it kind of was
it was because I wasn't going to put new stuff in the middle. Yeah, that just seems
so
silly.
Basically it was a wasted turn because nobody gained any information.
However, I will say that if I had put 2 in the middle, there were no other cards that referenced the middle. So it's kind of like, oh, well, that could have actually hidden some of my decks.
No, because it was in turn order. So if you did it and then somebody else went and did it, then you're going to swap them and take those 2 from the middle.
Oh, so everyone got to do it?
Yes.
Oh.
So all of us just took the ones in the middle and put them right back because it made no sense.
Right.
So I think it was a little flaw in the execution. But in a standard game where you have more decks in the middle, or if you're playing with the auction rules where you take decks out, that you have 3 of the standard cards and 3 of the auction cards in the mix, it could change things up. And I would just make sure those 2 cards don't go in together is really what I would do.
Well, yeah, and so there's that one got a little tricksy. But I think that's only going to happen in the scenario that we just saw. Like if you different player count or different order would have been fine.
2 is the most common as far as the arrangements, is that there's 2 decks in the middle.
No, I'm talking about just, in an order has to be done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just think it's a matter of...
Yeah, that was really my beef with it, was that one scenario that played out and wasted around, basically, because...
I almost was like, hey, pick another card. Because I felt like...
there's only 6. There's no randomization. So it's just the order.
Lame.
Yeah. So there's the 6 actions and then the 6 auctions, and you're supposed to take 3 of each ultimately. And
they need to kind of do better.
Yeah, that's the only grievance I had with this game, was that
that
was an awkward.
They need more round things.
Yeah. So apart from that, I love every aspect of this game. I mean, I love the fact that you're arranging it and you're trying to remember, because you can't look back except for the 4 that you've got in your possession, or however many you have, depending on player count.
So what would you give us score-wise?
I think I'm probably at an 8 on this, is where I from initial play. I mean, it may get old fast. That's the only concern I've got. It may not have lasting appeal. But
I mean, I think it will, just like Clue does.
Well, yeah, but
I think a little. Yeah, I think even more so than Clue.
Clue the base Clue gets pretty old. I mean, we like the expanded Clue now because there's a lot more thinking to it.
Right.
So this one, if they come out with expansions and such, but I don't know how you're going to expand it other than adding more players like they're doing.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to add more characters, and then some people can't be in the photo. That could actually be pretty interesting.
Possibly.
You know. So I would like to see how that plays out. I do think they need more event cards. So you gave it an 8. I'll give it an 8 too. I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't get as bored with Clue as per se you, but then when I play against with you, I just get frustrated because it's like he overthinks it. Like I have to overthink it to even get close to him, and that's mind numbing. And I'm like, this is just Clue. But like what you ask, like he literally writes down what you ask.
So that if somebody asks me again and has the same card, I'm going to show them the same card again.
Well, no, but not only listen, and I have to do that now. Like I have to write down what you ask, and then when so and so shows them a card, I write down someone showed them this card, and like I have to. Well, like, that's a lot of work. Like I never had to do this with Clue until I had to play Clue.
Well,
with
then
you.
I can rule out I know this person has 5 cards. They've shown off this many, and these are the scenarios, so I can figure out what 5 cards you have.
I know. Trust me, I'm aware of your strategy. I had to learn said strategy, and now Clue takes a lot of mental fortitude that I didn't realize you needed.
But in this one, you can't take notes, so it's all about memory.
Well, no, it's fine. This is fine. No, it's a little bit different, and I appreciate it in a different way. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had a blast. I actually really did enjoy the game. Hopefully, you did too tonight. We'll hope to catch you guys again. Bye.
Bye.